My name is Robin, and I would like to study jazz for the vibraphone at the Royal Conservatory of Brussels. I'm 18 years old, and I'm currently in my third and last year for a bachelor in physics at the University of Antwerp. Even though learning the physics of the universe was really interesting, at the end of last academic year, I felt that my passion was for music was too strong to not really do something with it. It was also around this time that a lot of my friends were trying to get in the conservatories of Ghent and Antwerp, and that really helped to open my eyes and see that going for your passion and actually studying music was really an option. So last academic year, I asked my teacher at the Academy of Hoboken, Sip François, who had already talked to me about the possibility of studying at the conservatory, if he could prepare me for studying at the conservatory. He said he would, and I am really grateful for that opportunity. I'd been a student for 7 or so years, and he had introduced me to the marimba and vibraphone as a kid, and now I was certain that I wanted to take it a step further. Now, before I started with SIP, I was already playing different instruments. I started on the violin when I was five, with Wilfried van Gorp as my teacher, and he uses the Suzuki method, which is a Japanese method mostly practiced with violin that teaches kids music like it's their mother tongue. This means you start pretty young, and at that age, you really focus on their musical hearing so that they can recreate and play a tune after they heard it only a few times. And I think this gave me a good basis and maybe even advantage for my later musical development. Um, when I was 16, though, I had to quit the violin because it became too hard to combine with university, and my heart was really more into percussion. Around the age of 8, my dad taught me the basics of playing the piano, and a few years later, I picked it up again and started playing more often, learning Bach studies, for example. It was around this time that I started writing and improvising more. I started writing and improvising on the piano. And then at age 10, I started with Sip, and he introduced me to the world of percussion. And something really clicked for me there. I just really enjoyed that everything that had to do with sticks and hitting things to create sound. In school, I was always fidgeting and drumming on the table, for example. Sip introduced me to all kinds of different percussion instruments, but to me, the most intriguing ones were the marimba and the vibraphone. I guess the melodic nature of them just attracted me more. I also found the sound of these melodic percussion instruments to be really cool. And later, I also taught myself a bit of guitar and bass, and I'm currently also in a punk band where I play the bass. So, as a teenager, I was always on the lookout for people to play and jam with, or just to make music in general. But now that I knew I wanted to go study music, the question arose, what exactly was it that I wanted to study? Was it classical marimba, jazz drums, or vibraphone? And most of all, like, where? Was I going to stay in Antwerp or go to Brussels or Ghent? I found an answer to these questions pretty quickly. I felt most attracted by the vibraphone, since I had always been more of a melodic percussionist and I loved the interaction and overall creativity in jazz. Ever since I was little, I would be improvising and playing with friends, and to me, the genre that supports these ideas the most is jazz. And the sound and general vibe of the vibraphone also complements the genre really well. Which conservatory to go to was also an easy one. My whole life I've lived in Antwerp, and I feel it's time for me to go see and experience the feel of a different city. Now, what attracted me to Brussels, and in particular KCB, was the fact that it's a real international school, and city, of course. So I believe students and teachers as well at KCB have a lot of different backgrounds and ideas, and I like that versatility. I look forward to meeting lots of new, interesting people and seeing how they will interact, and in that context, tell their story musically. I'm also excited to get to know new places for live music or to just jam. And Seb, my teacher, had also studied at KCB under Bert Cartier, and he confirmed that this was indeed a good choice and that he himself had learned so much there. He said that KCB was what he would recommend the most, and that Bert would be a great teacher to guide me through this journey. So that was really the final drop, so to speak, that convinced me. So for the past year, I have been working really hard learning jazz, even though I already had a quite comfortable general musical background. I had never really played in a jazz ensemble, or I didn't have any theoretical background aside from the basics. Of course, I listened to the genre and knew the big names, but put frankly, at the beginning of the year, I was only just starting to explore the jazz universe. But my interest and engagement with the genre grew each day more and more. I was hopeful, and now I'm really glad with where I stand today. Of course, though, there are a million more things for me to learn and experience, which is why I'm hoping I can continue my journey at the Royal Conservatory in Brussels. Thank you.